All right, Brad, do you want to introduce your topic and tell us about yourself?
Yeah. Uh, Somebody described what I do as mental floss, and it's something. So, or they said another one said that I'm like going to the brain car wash. So I'm going to talk tonight about transition, and if my I can go full screen on this thing. There we go. Uh, Transition, we're all in transition, and but most of us don't realize it, and so it's something that uh, being in job transition can cause a lot of issues, as most of the people here are aware of. uh, we go through various emotions. Emotions like shock and denial, anger, frustration, fear, anxiety, sadness, grief, acceptance, and hope. And the problem is that we think that we know what the problem is when we're going through those emotions, but the problem is generally not the problem. And that we need to fact check uh, ourselves on a regular basis. And I show this slide on all of my presentations and everything, and it's because of the fact that 95% of what we're doing on a daily basis is run by our subconscious mind. It's a good thing because that includes things like your heart beating and you breathing. So you don't want to have to sit there and say, okay, heartbeat, heartbeat, heartbeat. So that's about 70% of the thing. But about the other 25% are basically things that are in your subconscious mind that 75% of like your self-esteem was developed back before your age 8. Things like 50 to 70% of your personality was that. Your subconscious is your beliefs, your habits, your protective reactions, your values, your intuition. And the problem with this subconscious is that it is running at 50 million bits per second. And to overcome the subconscious, you need the conscious mind, which you use about 5% of the time. And it basically is where your agency is. It's where you make your choices. It's where you are doing critical thinking. Noom, the weight loss and the psychology lab or app says that we make 35,000 choices a day. And of those 35,000 choices, 122 will be actually made in your conscious mind. So they are able to monitor this, and our imaginations, especially a time like Daniel's going through, where he was going through and saying, my benefits are running out. I've got age discrimination. I've got all of this other stuff going on. Our imaginations, our memories, and emotions take over. And they're operating at a much faster speed than this 50 bits per second computer that's up here in our conscious mind. And so it's something, until you use your conscious mind, though, it's going to direct your life. Your subconscious is going to direct your life. our perspective. I was a cop in the service, and I'd go out to an incident, and basically, if I was interviewing 5 people who were eyewitnesses, I would get 7 different explanations of what happened. And because 2 of them would change their mind. But 50%, think of this, the next time that you're worried about something, 50% of our perspectives and memories are not the truth. One of the things I suggest for this is a very simple acronym here, AEIOU. We have control over these 5 different elements. Your attitude on a moment-by-moment basis, you can choose to have the type of attitude you need for the moment. We can all choose to work in excellence. We can all choose to take initiative. We can all choose to outperform ourselves 1% better each day. And we can all choose to be unwavering in what we choose. And so remember this 50%, because so many times what is happening is that we're overthinking in this transition period. The problem is rarely the problem. Self-rejection is high. Self-criticism is high. When we try harder, there's actually a rule of the mind that the harder you try, the harder it is to change something in you. So if you're trying to change a habit, you got to give up on the habit in order to change the habit. Makes no sense, but we'll talk about that if you'd like. We have a lack of control. We're overreacting. We're blaming ourselves generally. Others, this company didn't get back to me. And we start having craves that we didn't have before. And lack of energy is another thing, all due to overthinking. Social isolation is another key. With that comes loneliness. 36% of employees complain of feeling lonely during a year's period. About the same amount feel depressed, actually clinically depressed, and stress is over 50%. Health issues come from these in a huge way. And then the challenges that we have trying to make up for this social isolation, one of the best ways is our networking that we talk about with the 20-minute networking book and coming to these meetings. Your identity is questioned during this period of time. Some biggies is that you're not enough or worthy of a particular job. Relationships at this time, we overthink relationships, that so-and-so's, what is so-and-so going to think of me because I don't have a job at this time? We have mind-body reactions that are happening. We feel like we can't attain something, or that we're too old or young or not qualified. And we allow others' expectations of us. Again, it's generally not their expectations, but it is our expectations of what their expectations are. And then we don't feel like we belong. Identity is, Alan talked about it before, the who. The why is really what I focus on. What's our why? Simon Sinek, if you look up his videos, and if you've heard his videos on the why, is huge on this. And then the other part of it is your identity. So tie your identity to your values and to your purpose, and you'll never need motivation again. Just live out that. You are not your job. Realize that. Another huge issue is uncertainty and anxiety. These bring on a number of different things, self-doubt or perfectionism. These seem like almost different animals, but there's a lot of similarities in these two things. And procrastination or avoidance. There's, I believe, 10 saboteurs in our minds, and these saboteurs are, one of them is avoidance. And if you start avoiding things that you know you need to do them first thing in the morning when you have more energy. Another area that is a big issue is the lack of finances, the stress and anxiety around it, the hopelessness that comes up, feeling like a failure, that you're letting others down, and you start worrying about what others think. You can only control those 5 areas, the AEIOU. Stress. Stress is merely your unrealized expectations on demands. And so whatever your demands are, whether it's accumulation or uncertainty of unresolved issues, that is going to cause stress. Stress is one of the biggest issues because it creates, for every thought, stressful thought, it creates a chemical, cortisol, that is going either to your heart or liver initially, and then it can go throughout your body. So you can lower stress by 20% just by reflecting on the 5 different areas of stress. Do you have control over this thing? Again, you can only control those 5 areas. Do you have certainty over it? If you don't have certainty, to worry about it is not going to help. It's going to cause that cortisol release. Are you connected? Are you networking to the right people? Are you coming to this meeting? Do you have safety? And do you have progress? If you identify which of these 5 areas, that in itself is going to lower your stress. I have another acronym, TIME, that I recommend, and I recommend it first thing in the morning. In fact, the first 5 minutes, I recommend thankfulness. This is a time where we think of thankfulness, but every morning being grateful or thankful. Read my blog that I posted, and thankful for at least 3 different things. What neuroscience has shown is a 9% improvement in attitude in 1 month, just being grateful twice a day for 3 different things. Find something that gives you inspiration in that first half hour. Meditate. Meditate. A lot of people say they struggle meditating. Meditating comes from the Latin term to ponder. So all of us here ponder. In fact, some of us, as I said before, over ponder. But just if your mind wanders, write it down and go back to clearing your mind and staying at that point. And the 4th is exercise. That's time. Remember that. And do it before digital every morning. What all of my clients create is they look at their current self, their feelings, their focus, their environment, and they say, what can I do? Are these the areas? And these are just some of my words. You may have your own words, but you want to move to your future self. So going to your feelings of being satisfied, content, energized, or whatever the feelings that you're seeking. And then identify the triggers that's along your self-awareness journey. My 5 R's: recognize or be aware of your environment constantly. Reflect on it. That's a meditation. Reframe the negative to the positive. Then refocus on the reframing. And then reference those times in your past where you've had wins and dwell on those. Here's just a mental fitness little progression. A lot of people think that their behavior comes from genetics. About 10 to 15% comes from genetics. The rest come from these 3 areas here. Most of it from your parental or authority figures. And then your performance, your systems, your habits, and your results that come from it. And Alan, that's it. I wanted to keep it short to answer any questions that we have.